watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello and welcome to GHS-TV's award-winning talk show, Crosstalk. I'm Calvin Nicholson. Let's talk about you. What's going on in your life, whether you're at home or at school. Today we're taking on the issue of youth crime and prevention. The juvenile courts in Memphis has reported that juvenile crime rates have dropped over the past several years. Good news, right? Here to shed more light on this issue is Lieutenant Marvin Wiggins from Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Lieutenant Wiggins, nice to have you on.
Nice to be here.
Lieutenant Wiggins, let's jump straight in. So I'm going to ask you off the top, what do you do?
Well, day to day, I'm a lieutenant. I command Bakership Patrol, which is afternoon shift between the hours of 1 p.m. and 10 p.m. And basically what I do is I command 4 sergeants and 46 deputies. And I make sure that, my deputies have the equipment they need. I make sure the sergeants have the information they need for the shift to be ran efficiently. And, the buck stops with me on my shift.
I'm glad that you mentioned that time. From 1 to 10 is really, that's when young people are starting to get out of school. That's when things start to really happen.
Yes.
So let's jump straight into it. Can you tell me about the recent decrease in juvenile crimes? Can you give me kind of a statistic of how things have looked in juvenile crimes as of lately?
Well, as of lately, yes, crime has dropped overall. So obviously that would include juvenile crimes. It's not as apparent as it has been in the past year or two. And that just shows you the awesome work that law enforcement is doing, coupled with the juvenile court system and coupled with the criminal justice system as well.
So now you're now in that admin position. I want to take it back just a few years ago.
All right.
Back to when you were on patrol. Pretty sure you had some encounters with some juveniles. Can you tell us kind of the day-to-day of how that kind of works and the difference between how juveniles may have acted, let's say, to show how our classmates act maybe in school versus how it is on the street? Can you tell us the difference in those attitudes and how you're able to go through and pace on how to assess those situations?
Yeah, when I was working the streets, patrol, gang unit, narcotics, when I interacted with kids, especially when I was a patrol, I tried to be more of the officer that goes out, plays basketball with them, plays catch with them, check them back when they check me, try to get to know them. Because one thing that's very important to me is mentorship. And I know a lot of these kids don't have the proper example at home. So I just tried to be that change and be a good mentor and a good example for them. And you had a lot of the kids, they have this preconceived notion of police, like we don't, mess with the police. I'm not a snitch. I don't want nobody to see me talking to you, which is, it's kind of messed up, being I was that kid, you know what I mean? But growing up and becoming a police officer, I found the importance of actually engaging with these kids and, trying to change the, direction that they were going. A lot of kids, don't like the police, and it's just something they've been taught. And then you have kids that adore the police. Again, they've been taught that. You have some people who had one interaction with a police officer, and that defined their feelings of police for the rest of their life. So it was a good spectrum, good, bad, and indifferent.
And so I want to talk about something that's hitting more local. Let's hit home for just a moment. We talked about the decrease of crimes in Memphis as of lately. But I must shed the light off on how we're decreasing those crimes and some of the parties that have played a part in that. I want to know, have you worked hand-to-hand? You work between 1 to 10. So you work hand-to-hand with those task forces that are coming into Memphis. So can you tell us how that's helped with the decreasement of crime?
It's helped just with presence. We have what we call the use of force continuum. That's just the name of it. Don't mean force is being used, but the first step is presence. Seeing someone in uniform deters the criminal element from committing crimes in that area. So with the deterrence and with the criminal element, knowing that there are more police out there, they just don't want to risk going to jail. And that's really one of the things that's helped with the crime decrease.
And now I want to talk here for just a moment. let's talk about the biggest crime that we see among the youth, among the young people. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be those car thefts. That's going to be the biggest thing. So can you shine a light onto that particular topic?
Yeah, for what I've seen personally in my role, we have a lot of the juvenile crime as far as vehicles, breaking into vehicles. Going in, checking the door, making sure if it's unlocked or not, breaking the window, looking for guns, cash, and electronics. And that's the biggest.
I want to talk about the kids' crimes that get charged with adult crimes and how the difference between those and how that percentage calculates, because of course now if I kill somebody, there's a possibility I may get charged as an adult. So I want you to shine a light on the difference between being charged as a juvenile, because now I want this to be a point where we can educate people. What's the difference between being charged as a juvenile rather than an adult?
So being charged as a juvenile, you'll do some juvenile detention, possibly some community service. But when you get into more heinous crimes like murder, for instance, you will be charged as an adult. No question about it. And I mean, until you're 18, you will be held in a juvenile detention facility, and your 18th birthday, somewhere around that time, you'll be shipped off to an adult prison.
So I want to ask you this. What is the sheriff's office doing to prevent crimes along with the community?
Well, a couple things that the Sheriff's Department is doing. One is called the Explorers Program, which my son is actually a part of. The Explorers Program takes kids and we teach them basically what we do. We give them a chance to see what law enforcement does on a day-to-day basis, and what that does is it gets them off the streets, it gets them off of the couch and out of that idle mind, and it allows them to do something. And another thing we also do is I teach my guys to go out into the community, play basketball with the kids, play catch with the kids, interact with them, because when they can trust the police, then we can trust that if something happens, they'll be able to talk to us. And as far as the community, outside of work, I'm on the board of directors for the Christopher A. Pugh II Center. And basically, we work with at-risk youth, and we mentor. We give them job training. We give them behavioral treatment. We have HVAC, coding, mechanic work, and we also have a clothes closet. Some of these kids don't have proper clothing. They can go in and get a nice suit, nice shirt, nice tie, and we teach them job interview skills. So there are a lot of organizations, including the one I work with, that offer wraparound services for these kids. Get them off the street, give them something to do. Community service, if they have to serve community service hours. It puts them in the same room with mature men, mature women, to show that, hey, this does not define you, because it's a mindset. And if we can change that mindset, then we'll see even more decrease in juvenile crime.
And I want to give you this one opportunity. If you had one message you could give to any young man, any young lady that was in the life, trying to figure out where they should get, what would the message be? My
message would be, my motto is be the change. And my message to, a kid that's struggling or having some trouble, it's not too late. It does not define you. It's just like putting, spilling a little bit of cinnamon at the beginning of a recipe. Cinnamon not supposed to go in there. But when you finish the meal, and you do everything right, you follow the recipe the correct way, you change, you correct, and you fix, that meal at the end of the day is going to be delicious. And that person, that kid, when it comes down to it at the end of their life, or when they become an adult and be a productive citizen, with the right help and the right direction, they can change. It's not too late.
Lieutenant Wiggins, I got to tell you, it was a pleasure talking to you today, and I'm gonna be honest with you, if you have not motivated anybody, you've motivated me today.
I appreciate that.
And so therefore I can say that you've shined a light on this. Lieutenant Wiggins, it was a pleasure talking to you today.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you as well.
We're gonna take a quick break here, and we'll get right back when two members of the program that aims to curb repeated juvenile offenders, they'll join us in the group chat. We'll be right back. Welcome back. On today's episode, we're talking about juvenile crimes. The Shelby County Youth Court is a juvenile delinquency diversion and peer justice program. Their mission is to serve the community by providing a unique peer-driven justice model as an alternative to the traditional juvenile justice system. We are lucky to have two members of Youth Court here in the group chat, Angel Austin and Kaylin Lamb. Welcome, guys. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
So I want you to start off. Kayla, I'm going to start with you. Could you tell me, what is Youth Court?
So the mission of Youth Court is to serve the community. It's a peer-driven program, and the theme is for youth who created a misdemeanor offense. They admit guilty to get into the program, and the goal is to get them a second chance in the community, because a lot of people start off on the wrong track, and the goal is to get them a second chance. So we hope to be have peer pressure on them, like a positive peer pressure, and get them a positive influence and get them a second chance.
I want to ask you, could you tell me, how did you get involved in the Youth Court?
Okay, so the first time that I ever heard about Youth Court was in my 10th grade year. I had recently gotten into the criminal justice class that we have at Germantown, and the criminal justice teacher decided to kind of refer me to the youth court coordinators, and the coordinators had actually come up to the school at one point, and they handed out these sheets so you can sign up for it. And I was just like, yeah, I really want to be a part of this, because I feel like law is going to definitely be something that's a big part of my life.
So, you talk about law being a big part of your life. Mm-hmm. I want you to put a pin in there. We're going to come right back to that. So I want to ask you, have any of you been in actually any cases recently?
Yes.
All right, could you give me your experience? How does that look?
Okay, so I kind of talk about the specifics of an actual case, because discretion about it. Mm-hmm. But the cases are always interesting. Things happen, been on the defense side most of the time. Things happen all the time where that's very interesting, where people just, like I said, peer pressure is always involved, and everybody just have a different reason to why they did the minor offense or whatever that they did. So it's kind of just good to mentor them and give them good advice about the situation and help them improve going forward.
Okay. So I want to ask you, you talked about law being a major part in your life. Mm-hmm. So could you talk to me a little bit about how Youth Court is preparing you for after high school, mm-hmm. after college? Can you tell me, and what does that lead up for you?
So, really, Youth Court prepares me for a lot of things, especially in a courtroom. There's a lot of roles that you can be a part of while in the Youth Court. You can be a bailiff, you can be a court clerk, I think that's what it's called. You can be a part of prosecution, you can be a defense attorney. There's a lot of roles that you can be, and I've mostly just been prosecution, because I feel like I give way more harsher things so the respondent can understand that, hey, this isn't something light, but also I'm giving you a second chance, because nobody should admit guilt and then be met with a very harsher punishment.
And so I want to ask you, you said that you go more into the defense things, right? So the funny thing is, your prosecution, your defense. So let's talk about it for just a moment. Can you tell me the difference in your preparation? Let's talk about the preparation and preparing for the case, because you, at your hand, you're saying, hey, this is what you did, and these are the repercussions of your. But you're also saying, hey, you're getting another chance. Let's try to get you off of this. So can you tell me some of the punishments on the side of what they can have after Youth Court?
So more on the defense side of things, the prosecution don't get to talk to the defense, whether the respondent or whoever committed it. So I get to get a little bit more insight and more direction as to how I want to present the case and how I want to give them a good outlook and let them know that they're not, have done all bad. And it's not punishing; it's restorative justice. The program is to restore and give them a second chance. So, the defense side looks pretty good.
So personally, I feel like the prosecution, like Kaylin said, I don't talk to the respondent. I talk to a mentor, actually, and we basically go over everything. It's pretty much based on facts instead of actually talking to the respondent and or their guardian. So it's definitely a thing where I have to do this and enforce it. And defense, they really just talk to them. It's mostly about kind of like advice. So like talking to them about it and, telling them, hey, it's not your fault. You'll get a second chance. But I'm just talking to the mentor, and I just, base everything off of what I'm given. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask you this. How does the actual courtroom layout look?
It's basically like a courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's like literally a courtroom. We go to it's a juvenile courthouse,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a whole lot of courtrooms. I think there are at least 4, and the setting is that of a actual courtroom. It's just with teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there are a lot of roles that you can be. Like if you were to be a bailiff, you would have to follow the rules of a bailiff. Like you can't go in front of the judge's stand or bench because that poses a threat to the judge. That's why a lot of people, guide the respondent to the other way instead of in front of the bench, if that makes sense.
And so I want to ask you this. I'm gonna shoot this one to you. Can you tell me, how do I get in the youth court? If there's someone watching trying to figure out how do they get in the youth court, can you tell me how do they get in the youth court? And then after that, I want to talk about the pros and cons of youth court.
Okay. In order to get into youth court, the juvenile court has a website specifically for youth court. It will give on the website the coordinator's information are on there, and it's an application link. You could apply for youth court, and then you could contact them. They should be contacting you pretty soon after you apply. I came through my criminal justice teacher. He strongly encouraged the program, so we had the applications in person, and then I filled it out. But you can apply, and then it's a whole training process period, like a 3-day weekend. Well, I think 2. A 2-day weekend training process period, and you're going to take an oath to, what the program is about and things that you should do on your end.
So I want to ask you this. How is youth court curbing the actual juvenile crime rate within Shelby County? How do you believe that youth court is actually helping that juvenile crime?
So it's definitely helping because they're not going to juvie. Going to the juvenile court and admitting guilt and then getting a more softer sort of justice rather than an actual punishment like going to juvie for a month or like being transferred to a jail when you get to 18. That's basically it.
I could add on to that.
Yeah.
Given people our age, if you commit a minor offense or do something, it may could have been a mistake or whatever it was, you don't want nobody to just necessarily beat you up about it. You want guidance moving forward, someone to mentor you and kind of just steer you in the right direction. Just everything's not all bad, and it's apparently going to be light at the end of the tunnel. So it's just like a mentoring program. It just helps out.
Okay, so I do want to touch on this really quickly. You talk about the mentorship of things. So once they commit their crime and they plead guilty, they go into the youth court. So do they get a mentor in youth court?
Okay, so the coordinators are normally mentoring them, but after their court date and we decide what's going to be their restoration, it's different programs they could have, like just like the Boys and Girls Club, like a Big Brother. It's like different programs, like an alcohol, drug program, or whatever it was that you done. We're going to give you what was the best fit to whatever you have committed.
I want to ask you guys this. You're part of the youth court program now. Can you tell me what do you want to do after the youth court program? How does the youth court program benefit you?
So the youth court program, like I said, provides a lot of mentorship, since we have mentoring attorneys to give us advice and seek us more information on the cases that we do. When I finish high school, I want to go to college and become an attorney in the future. And I don't have a story to where I want to become a lawyer to give back or just want to make the criminal justice system better. I just want a law degree for options, because I know there's plenty things I want to do in the future, and the law is used in everything. So I want to be a corporate lawyer, but the youth court programs definitely contributes to that. And I did a law internship the previous summer to help me out and help shape my career. So
thank you. So I want to ask you the exact same question. What are your plans after this? What made you want to get into youth court?
What made me want to get into youth court is just the fact that they have a lot of opportunities. As I said, there's a lot of roles. There's, bailiff, court clerk, prosecution, defense, and I sometimes am a part of those roles interchangeably. I'm mostly prosecution, but I can do defense. I want to go to college and get a law degree, definitely. And I've been especially studying for the LSAT really early, and I've been studying for the bar exam as well, because it's very hard to get to pass the bar, or at least meet the standards to become a lawyer.
Well, thank you both for joining me today. It was a pleasure talking to you today, and you shined a whole lot of light on the youth court program as a whole.
Great.
That will do it for our show. For more information on our programming, please check us out on the web at ghstv.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Calvin Nicholson, and from all of us here at GHS-TV, thank you for watching Crosstalk, and I hope to see you again.